introduce the Vice President, Kamala Harris.
What do you say to those concerns, specifically if he had to pass the powers to you for 1 second, 1 minute, heaven forbid, and I ask with all due respect, but are you capable, are you ready to step into the role and do whatever the country would need?
I'm absolutely ready. But thank God our president is in good shape, in good health, and is ready to lead in our second term. Freedom is fundamental to the promise of America. And what we saw over a year ago is the highest court in our land, the United States Supreme Court, the Court of Thurgood and RBG, took a constitutional right that had been recognized from the people of America, from the women of America. And since that ruling came down, we have seen states across our country, thankfully not Michigan, but states across our country proposing and passing laws that criminalize doctors and nurses. Some provide for prison for life, for healthcare professionals providing reproductive care to their patients. One does not have to give up or in any way abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. You don't have to change your faith or abandon your faith or your deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. You don't have to abandon your faith, whatever that might be, to agree the government should not be making that decision for a woman. One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do with her body. You don't have to abandon your faith or your deeply held beliefs to agree that the government should not be telling a woman what to do. One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree that the government should not be telling her what to do with her body.
The Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated.
I mean, the idea that the former president of the United States would say that he, quote, encourages a brutal dictator to invade our allies, and that the United States of America would simply stand by and watch. No previous United States president, regardless of their party, has bowed down to a Russian dictator before. And now we are seeing an example of something I just believe that the American people would never support, which is a United States president, current or former, bowing down with those kinds of words and apparently an intention of conduct to a Russian dictator. And so I know you want to know what I brought. So you want to know that I got the George Clinton doll. Does everybody know who George Clinton is? Do you know P-Funk? No. Okay, well, there is lessons to be taught, like Bootsy Collins. Anybody know who Bootsy Collins is? Okay, so there's some education that needs to be done. I can see that. I got a Miles Davis album and then a couple of cards.
Do you think that Ukraine can survive a year, this year, on the battlefield without American aid?
Ukraine needs our support, and we must give it.
The bank is closed.
As demonstrated by our administration's record over the past 3 years, there are few leaders as committed to bipartisan collaboration than Joe Biden. There are few leaders as committed to bipartisan collaboration than Joe Biden.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
We look forward to continuing the conversation, but this does conclude our press portion of the dialogue. So we'll ask the press to leave the room and we'll continue the off the record.
Can we get a picture with everybody facing this way? Thank you. Thank you.
Madam Vice President, are you worried about getting a president uncommitted next week?
Thank you.
Ma'am, thanks so much. Let's head out.
When you hear people like Governor Nikki Haley say a vote for Joe Biden is a vote for Kamala Harris, I mean, I know what I hear, but what's most important is what you hear when you hear her say that.
I think that Ambassador Haley is unfortunately perpetuating the dog whistles of divisive politics and frankly should be called on it. And my response to her is, yes, it is. And America has demonstrated that they are ready, willing, and able to support candidates who are experienced, who are qualified, and who have the interest of the American people at heart. And that has been Vice President Harris at every turn.
Vice President Kamala Harris received the worst rating in the history of that NBC poll. She had a negative net rating of 17 in her first 2 years of office.
And they now want to say DEI because the only reason that MAGA can see a black or a woman that is in power, let alone a black woman, is if for some reason we were given a handout, when the reality is that we have to work 10 times as hard as our white male counterparts to get anywhere in this life. Because think about it this way. We have a president that failed up into the White House, because if that had been a black woman that had the number of affairs, that had the number of marriages, that had the number of baby mamas that Trump had, then they would never be there. In fact, a black woman being vice president is too much for them. They want to pretend as if they are so concerned about Joe Biden's age because he's senile or he's the criminal mastermind, one of the two. So that concerns them. What their real concern is that there's a black woman that is behind him. They are concerned that if he passes away, a black woman will ascend to power. And let me tell you, she is a beyond capable black woman. And I will stand on that any day of the week, because I personally have had the ability to interact with the vice president on more than one occasion. But more importantly than that, what most people don't know, and one of the first things that I told her when I was sworn in and I had an opportunity to meet her, was that she inspired me. As a young black lawyer, she was my first inspiration to run for my first elected office, because she was elected as a prosecutor, as the first black woman out there in the Bay Area. And I saw this as a young black lawyer. She inspired me. I truly don't know that I would be in politics today, but for my initial inspiration being her, and then followed by that of me also being inspired by Barack Obama. So yes, representation does matter. And there are those that don't want people like me to be exactly who I am every single day of the week, an educated, a passionate black woman that is going to fight not only for black folk, but I'm going to fight for people that historically have been disenfranchised, forgotten about, or just kicked while they were down. Black woman, black woman, black woman, black woman, black woman, black woman, black lawyers, black woman, black lawyers, black woman, black folk.
Kujichagulia.